On family, it is August 5th, um, Tuesday, August 5th, and we just hit an absolute banger um, on ES. NASDAQ just was not the one to trade for me today. But let's just get straight into it. Let me put this floating on the top because obviously I can't remember. Um, but now, yeah, today was just a beautiful day. Beautiful day, mental wise, patience wise, price action wise. Everything was perfect up in my head, um, and everything was perfect on the charts. Maybe the one thing I do regret is not placing my trade on a funded account, but I will get into the reason why in a second. So let's just dive straight into it. Big day today on the fresh 300K that I just got from Charmaine yesterday. We're up about 2,500 on the account on the day. So we're almost there. We got. Let's just say we hit 2,500. We hit 2,500 per trade, just to make it easier in the long term. 2,500. I feel like it's pretty good. A risk. I was risking about 1,500 on that trade, so 2,500 sounds like a pretty. It's almost like a 1-to-1 basically. So. And I'll kind of get into like the 1-to-1 aspect of this after, because this could have been a lot bigger or trade if I traded my model over the forever model. It gets kind of complicated, so let me just see real quick. 700 times 15, so no, 2,500 times 10. So I need to have 8 good trades of $2,500 with no losses in order to make 20K. That sounds very easy and very doable, but screw that. Let's just get straight into it. This is what I'd be shuffling if you're hearing it, by the way. So yeah. So coming into the day, I was like, all right, let me go with 15-minute on NASDAQ, because that's where I was like, okay. So we have this larger time frame ES and NASDAQ SMT. I was like, all right. Yesterday's pump. What do we do? We just pumped up all damn day. Liquidity. I'm seeing all this liquidity. I'm like, all right, this larger time frame SMT, we're consolidating pre-market low key, and we do have liquidity above an order block, which is protected by an SMT. So I'm like, okay, I'm immediately bearish today. There's nothing in my mind that tells me we're bullish, and I was looking to take sells, low key immediately, and just putting my stop loss at the high, and then just running it down to the lows, because I was like, price is going to run to sell side, and I don't want to, be left behind on my challenge account, or just regardless, I just don't want to be left behind. So I'm chilling, and I'm like, okay, wait, hold on a second. We got 10 a.m. news, 9:45 news. I'm like, let me just chill, and price is probably going to consolidate and generate some liquidity before we want to, start moving, start messing around. And we did exactly that. So right on this 15-minute, we open right on this candle. So we open, and then I think we go down and up. I can't remember. However, here we open, we went up and then down. Oh no, down and up. Yeah. Okay, so we push down. I'm like, oh, maybe there's something. We had a tiny ass SMT in here, and I'm like, maybe there's like a 15-second or something downside. But I'm like, okay, let me just chill. And realize that if we have an SMT, there's most likely a forever model in here. So I see this 15-minute fair value gap, and I'm like, wait a minute, we're basically inversing this fair value gap. We already inversed it right here, and 9:30 we tapped into it. So I'm like, okay, I'm looking to take these shorts. So everything is ready to go. 9:45 hits, we pump up, we get our sweep. There is no internal SMT on like the 1 minute or something like that. We just kind of put in the high and start to go lower. So I'm like, all right, we're above our 8:30 and 12 a.m. open. We get our discount. This is our smart money reversal right here. Boom, 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 boom. This is all the smart money reversal right up in here. We come above our 8:30 and 12. Bodies respecting this 15-minute wick and then a 15-minute fair value gap, and you start to break lower. This is where I was like, okay, I'm looking for shorts, but I want 10 a.m. to take us lower. I see this fair value gap, and I'm like, I want to take a short off of it, and right around here, but it didn't give me that bearish candle close before 10 a.m. So I was like, all right, fuck. Regardless, we also tap into the upper of this two fair value gap sequence. So I'm like, all right, maybe it's not the best to take the entry before 10. So I waited for 10. 10 o'clock came out, and as soon as that 10 o'clock candle closed, I was on that 15 minute. I just took a sell, stop loss above that high right here, and then targeting all of our liquidity from last session. And yeah, and then also, the R was kind of fucked, but I'll kind of get into that like right now. So if you look, we have one fair value gap right here. We have one fair value gap right here, and we have another one right here. You notice how we paint outside the lines a little bit on this fair value gap? This is the two fair value gap set up for today, which I would have taken on my funded account, etc. But I just did not like how he came back above this and then just wanted to, I guess we swapped liquidity and still respected it. We're looking at bodies, remember, it's high resistance. And then also, I take another entry once we break below this low, because I'm like, all right, once we break this low, I'm expecting us to go lower. And that would have been basically my funded entry, and my stop loss would be about this high. So it would have looked a lot better than our original RR of, it would have looked something like that with, I shorted 27, but I could have shorted almost double that. I could have shorted, I want to risk 1,500 per trade on this, so I could have risked about that much, and kind of been, good on a smaller time frame. But keep in mind, like, that 15 minute was just too good to be true. I was like, all right, whatever. I don't really care about the profits. I just want to see, basically, price start moving away. I don't want to really risk that funded trade. I was kind of, I wouldn't say scared. I would say, like, it just wasn't like I was, I didn't want to go in there and press the button, and be like, let's run it. I just didn't like how that two fair value gap played out. And, maybe I'd pay the price. Regardless, though, I knew our price was going to go larger time frame. I just didn't feel comfortable with this entry. I don't know why. But regardless, we took a bunch of partials there at this low. I don't know why it's 3 of them or 4 of them. It should be just one take. And then I took just a little bit before, and then finally we ran it all the way right there. Yeah, very, very nice trade. Keep in mind that was kind of a trade. So if my RR was better, yes, it would have been a bigger win of a day. It would have been nice. Yes, but that's not the point. The point is that we identified the model, we saw what we need to see, and we executed on it flawlessly, in my opinion. And also, if you look at this, on the 1 hour, we have two fair value gaps, respecting this upper. Eventually, once we tap into this lower, I'm like, okay, this is full conviction to the downside, which also could have aided in my decision of shorting right there, because we tapped into it. And that basically tells me we're going to run through it, because I want to see two fair value gap sequence, the upper one be respected and the lower one not be respected. So that basically told me that, we're running through it. So yeah, very, very easy day. Forever model to the upside, to the downside, right there. SMT, change of state, bullshit, I didn't even use it. Inverse fair value gap, and then rejection off the inverse fair value gap, entry to all these old New York session lows from yesterday. So very, very clean day. On the top step, look at this shit. We're still in the dirt. Negative 1,300. It could have been like a bigger day, but realistically, I do not care. I'm just gonna keep on trading how I need to trade, and if it was if it was a much cleaner setup on this 2 minute fair value gap, I would be like, all right. Like, if we just left it right here, I'm like, all right, we're good to go. But we just did not. And also, this is a propulsion block, so I was like, I'm willing for price to also do that. Maybe I should have traded on the fund, but that's besides us. That's behind us. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, good day on the trade of 8. Ran this shit up, and yeah, we're just gonna keep grinding at this big ass account, and then see if it wants to do something. So we'll see. Great day. I'm gonna lock myself out the top step. I wish I placed a trade on there. Unfortunately, we did not. But that's how life goes. So yeah, I will see y'all tomorrow for our August 6th Wednesday trade, and y'all stay safe. I will see you later.